On a luxurious cruise ship, surrounded by family, a 23-year-old woman vanishes without a trace. There's no body, no evidence of a struggle, and no plausible explanation. But there are whispers of a mysterious musician, a chilling brothel sighting, and a family's desperate, ongoing search for a daughter they believe is still alive. What happens when a vacation becomes a nightmare and a loved one simply disappears? Welcome back to Vanished and Unsolved. In today's episode, we're diving into one of the most haunting maritime mysteries of our time, the disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley, a case that has baffled investigators for over 2 decades and left a family with more questions than answers. It was a dream vacation. In March of 1998, 23-year-old Amy Bradley joined her family on the Royal Caribbean cruise ship, Rhapsody of the Seas. Amy was a recent college graduate from Longwood University, known for her athleticism and passion for sports psychology. She had a new job lined up back home in Virginia, and this cruise was meant to be a final celebration before she began her career. The Bradley family was excited to spend this time together, especially with Amy's brother, Brad, home from college. On March 23rd, the night before the ship was to dock in Curaçao, Amy and her brother stayed up late, dancing and drinking at a disco party on the 9th floor deck. They were seen with members of the ship's band, Blue Orchid, and a videographer even captured them on camera. After a couple of hours, Brad headed back to the family's cabin on the 8th deck. The ship's security system logged that Amy returned to the cabin a few minutes later, around 3:40 a.m. The stage was set for a peaceful night. The ship glided toward its next destination, and the Bradley family rested in their cabin, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. If you're a fan of these kinds of deep dives into unsolved mysteries, you're in the right place. We cover a new case every week, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Early the next morning, the ship's quiet was broken by panic. Amy's father, Ron, woke up around 5:30 a.m. and saw his daughter sleeping soundly in a lounge chair on their cabin's balcony. He dozed back off, but when he woke again at 6 a.m., she was gone. The disappearance was immediately reported to the crew, but what happened next was a crucial and frustrating delay. The family begged the ship's staff to make a ship-wide announcement and prevent the passengers from disembarking, but their pleas were initially ignored. It wasn't until 7:50 a.m., after most of the passengers had already left the ship, that a public announcement was finally made. The Dutch Caribbean Coast Guard launched a 4-day search in the surrounding waters, but they found nothing. The lack of any evidence led authorities to the initial, disheartening theories that Amy had either fallen overboard or taken her own life. But the Bradley family, knowing Amy as a strong swimmer and a happy, optimistic person, refused to believe this was the end of the story. They believed Amy was still out there. We've still got a lot of shocking twists and new developments to cover in this case. So if you're finding this story as captivating as I am, make sure you're subscribed to Vanished and Unsolved to get all the details. In the years following her disappearance, the Amy Bradley case moved from a tragic accident to a terrifying mystery fueled by multiple, credible-sounding sightings. The first came just a few months after she vanished. Canadian divers claimed they saw a woman who perfectly matched Amy's description on a Curaçao beach. She was with 2 aggressive-looking men and seemed to be trying to get the divers' attention with a pleading look. David Carmichael, one of the divers, later told the FBI, "I am haunted by that encounter with Amy. I know it was her." The most chilling sighting came from a U.S. Navy petty officer named William Hefner. In 1999, he said he was in a Curaçao brothel when a woman approached him, identified herself as Amy Bradley, and begged him for help. She told him she was being held against her will. Hefner, fearing for his military career, did not report the encounter until years later, but his account gave the family hope that Amy was a victim of human trafficking. This theory gained even more traction in 2005 when a photo of a woman named Jazz was discovered on a website for sex workers in the Caribbean. The woman in the photo had a striking resemblance to Amy, and a facial recognition expert later stated his opinion was that it was a match. The photo of Jazz looked desperate and defeated, leading many to believe that Amy was being held captive. The desperation of the Bradley family made them vulnerable, and sadly, they fell victim to a scam. A man named Frank Jones, claiming to be a former Special Forces officer, conned them out of over $200,000 with a false promise of a rescue mission. He was later arrested and charged with fraud, but the betrayal was another devastating blow to the family's hopes. In 2010, after more than a decade with no definitive answers, Amy was declared legally dead. But even this didn't end the mystery. The FBI's case remains open, and the family still believes she is alive. This case has captivated the public, and in a recent development, a 3-part documentary series titled Amy Bradley is Missing was released on Netflix in July 2025. This, along with a recent pledge from podcast host Ethan Klein of the H3 podcast to offer a $1 million reward, has brought renewed attention to the case and given the family a glimmer of hope that someone will come forward with a crucial tip. If you've made it this far, you're officially part of the Vanished and Unsolved family. We can't solve these cases on our own, but by keeping these stories alive, we can help find the answers. A simple click on that subscribe button helps us do just that. Amy Bradley's case remains a chilling reminder of how a person can vanish in plain sight. Was she a victim of an opportunist kidnapper on the cruise? Was she sold into human trafficking? Or did something else happen on that ship that night? The FBI is still actively investigating Amy's disappearance and is offering a reward of up to $25,000 for information. The Bradley family is also offering a separate reward of $250,000 for her safe return. If you have any information, no matter how small you think it is, please contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. This is a case that won't be solved until someone decides to speak up. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode of Vanished and Unsolved.